Alright guys, welcome to episode number 3 of the Antonio Sosa podcast. I decided to do some of it live and of course record on my camera there. But what I want to talk about today is how to be better while also feeling better. Another way to put it is how to increase your performance with sales, in your life as a partner, with your significant other, how to increase your performance in the gym, anything that you're focusing on right now, how you can just tweak it and get a little bit better at what you're doing. But also, maybe more importantly, how to feel better about yourself, how to have better mental health, how to emotionally regulate, and how to not just be a human doer, but a human being. Being okay with just existing. So we're going to talk about both of those things. It's a tall order. It's a lot to talk about, but that's what podcasts are good for, which is going deep. A lot of the TikTok world, I love it. It's really cool. A lot of cool videos. Right now my algorithm just shows a lot of nature, west coast of the US, like Washington, Canada kind of feed, as well as some funny videos. So who doesn't love just quick, short, fun things? Ultimately, I think our soul and our spirit longs for the depth. For people who want to go deeper, this is what this podcast is going to be for. Now, I'm just another guy on the path. I've been fortunate enough to have all kinds of mentors. I've been fortunate to be growth minded for the last 10 years, and I've been able to see tremendous results in my own life. And I'm at that phase and at that point in my life right now where I want to give back and contribute and help anybody else along the path. Okay, so let's talk about one of my favorite trainings out there. For those of you who know, all the credit is going to KT out there. Your wish is your command. So if you haven't heard that audio, it's a very underground, low-key audio that not many people know about. The first person who told me about it was a successful business owner, and I always looked up to him. He drove nice cars. I was in my young 20s, and that's what I thought success was fast cars. You know, he drove a Maserati, he drove a Corvette Stingray, and he was pretty young, and he dressed well, he spoke well, so I respected him. And he said to listen to this training, so I did, and I listened to it multiple times since then. So let's get into it. What are the main ideas with manifesting your desires, as they say, or just attracting better success, right? There's a school of thought that you have to grind and hustle your way to the top and really go after it, and that's an important piece to it, but that's not everything. The ones that really understand success, and of course, I don't think I know it all. I'm still another person on this journey, but isn't it easier when you attract success? When it just comes to you? Highly recommend sticking around to learn more about that. So he has 4 basic steps. The first is, who do you listen to? It's very important to evaluate where you're getting your advice from. Your parents? Your coworkers? The news? Yourself? Highly recommend to not listen to yourself if you're looking for better results. Find people who have the fruit on the tree, is what they call it. Be a fruit inspector. Find people who have the success, because success leaves clues. And you want to model after successful people who have actually done what you want to do. That's very important. Second is something called your teachability index. It's a nerdy term for pretty much asking you, how coachable are you? How teachable are you? Constantly we fluctuate up and down from our teachability. You may only watch a video of this because I'm boring and you don't really like my style, but if you're coachable and if you're teachable, I may be the right voice to say some things that can get you to the next level. There's 2 parts to coachability. The first is, what's your willingness to learn? How bad do you want success? In whatever area that you want, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want success? Do you think about it all the time? How often do you think about it? That's a good indicator. For those that think about what they want all the time, you want it bad. But here's the second part. What's your ability to accept change? What's your ability to do something different? You have to pay a price. You might have to give some things up. You may, I'm a 10 at my desire. I want it 10 out of 10, but I gotta go catch a movie right now with some of my friends. The funny thing is, when I first heard that, I was on my way to the movies. What are you willing to give up? Some of your time? Your attention? Money? That's a good indicator, I would say, on your coachability. And your future predictor of success is what are you giving up to have that. See, coachability is both of those combined. If you're a 10 at desire but a 1 on change, you're a 10 overall. I'm looking for 10 and 10. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and I want this thing bad. 10 out of 10. That's when magic starts happening. That's when you start seeing progress and success. If there is a weekend retreat or a 5-day retreat or a seminar and it costs some money and some time, it's too expensive. I would never do that. It takes too much time. I can't get the days off of work. Those are excuses, because somebody's excuse is somebody else's reason. I can't afford it. Damn, I'm broke. How can I figure out how to get there? See, everything's a mindset, right? So that's coachability. The third is something called the training balance scale. It's another nerdy fancy term. The training balance scale means the clarity between the two schools of thought. If you see a balance scale, on one side you have the motivation, the why, the thinking, the mindset, and on the other side you have the how-tos, the techniques, the step-by-step plans, the education, the information, over here on the left. Which do you think is what you're looking for? What do you think should you focus on to achieve what you want to achieve? Wild guess? It's the thinking. It's the why. It's the magnet. It's the attraction. It's the manifestation. If you haven't heard this saying, it's a really good one. When the thinking is right, the facts don't count. Do you really need to know how to lose weight? Do you really need to find the information on how to have a six-pack? You don't. It's simple. I'm sure you can figure it out. I'm sure you already know right now how to be fit, right? It's common sense. A lot of success is common sense. But what's missing? The thinking, the mindset. We make things so complicated because of our fears, our conditioning, our drained emotions and energy. A lot to that. But if you had the right mindset, if you had the reason why, you'll figure out anyhow. That's why a lot of success is about crystallizing the mind, getting it in order, focusing on what truly drives people. Fourth thing is the stages of learning. Everyone begins unconscious and incompetent. Means you don't know what you don't know, and you suck at everything, or you suck at a lot of things. You're not good, and you don't even know what you're not good at. Then you start learning, and you start knowing that you don't know, and you start knowing you're not good at what you want to be good at. Third level is you're starting to get pretty good. You've applied some discipline, and you're getting better, but you have to really think and try, but you're good. Fourth level of mastery is you're unconsciously incompetent. Totally ruined that one. You're unconsciously competent. Means whatever your craft is, you could do it in your sleep. You're in flow. You effortlessly produce results. You're hardly trying, and you're gifted, and you've put in the work so much that it makes it look easy to other people. In everything that we do, we go through those 4 stages. If you're actually trying to get good at something, you're separating yourself by listening to podcasts or educational audios. You're watching videos, you're learning, you're reading books, and you're putting the action to get better at whatever you're going to get better at. It's a practice. You have to do it. You have to put the time and the action into it. And then the 5th, I know there was only 4 steps, but he likes to joke around saying number 5 is master the basics. So I want to get a little bit more detailed into that law of attraction and how these apply. So if you're a 10 out of 10 coachable and you focus on the mind and the thinking, your magnet starts to attract what you want in life. People will come into your life that will help you. The right advertisement will come out to your life. The law of attraction, you'll start speaking the right things, and Google's listening, Apple's listening, and it'll start coming to you. But they say success happens when preparation meets the opportunity. So how do you prepare? One of the most amazing things that I heard as part of that training was, if you're trying to make more money, or if you're looking for opportunities, or if you're trying to advance, you have to feel good. Imagine trying to find success and you're always feeling tired. You're always feeling down. You're always feeling depressed. It's really hard to attract success when you're repelling it. So your spoken word has to be on point. The power of words are incredible. But the goal is to feel better than you do right now. So yeah, you may feel good, but the goal is to feel even better. Have you practiced gratitude? Have you just had those days where you just feel so good? Are you priming yourself for that? It's kind of like that saying of sharpening. Abe Lincoln said, if I had 10 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend 7 or 8 sharpening my axe. A lot of times people live this life with a dull sword. Imagine hacking away at a tree but not getting anywhere because you're not sharp. Is your attitude on point? Is your spoken word on point? But here's the other part to feeling good. Of course, you need to feel good in your body because it's our vessel to go out and do what our mind and our soul wants to do, is health. This is why I went on such a big deep dive into my health journey. Years ago, I had back problems because I had a weak core, multiple lower back, squat and deadlifting injuries. Because I just didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of a blind mouse following other blind men. I was eating a shit ton of fast food. Taco Bell, loved those Cinnabons. Just, of course, McDonald's, chips, processed food, microwavable food. I was feeling like shit, and my tiredness, my energy was so low, I had to make a big change. Ever since I made those big changes in my life, I started doing yoga, I stretch, I lift weights, I worked on my core, I did functional training. I feel so much better now. So I eat healthy for the energy and that performance, and most importantly, to attract the success that I want to have in my life. If there's 2 people in a vacuum, right? If there's just 2 people, everything's equal. The one that feels better and has more energy always beats the other person. If they're equally skilled, equally talented. What are those variations that can set you apart? Okay, so I spent a good chunk amount of time on how to get more success. Hopefully some of that stuff helped. I want to spend the rest of this time talking about how to feel better, how to work on the art of fulfillment. Tony Robbins is famous for saying there's the science to achievement, which is what I was just talking about, but then there's an art to fulfillment. So let's talk about that art that really changed my whole life. I had a chip on my shoulder, younger 20s, just like all the other young ambitious men out there trying to make a name for themselves. I was all about success, all about climbing the ladder, all about grinding from the morning to night. The hustle culture of sleep little, work as much as possible. But I was getting burnt out. I was not achieving the goals and dreams that I thought I was going to be able to get to have. So when my dreams and visions are not lining up with what I'm doing every day and working so hard for, you can only live unconsciously. You can only keep doing the same thing over and over but expecting different results. You could only do that for so long. So I decided to make a big change. Well, before I did, to be honest, I had to have some radical shifts in my mindset. I had to really change my thinking. I don't know where I got this book from, but Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now was a game changer for me. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. It just teaches you how to sit in yourself, differentiate yourself from yourself, listening to the thinker, listening to the voice inside your head, making that big distinction. It's really profound. It's really powerful when you actually sit and think about your thoughts and observe them. So in essence, this is the art of meditation. He really teaches you how to not identify with the chattering mind. Definitely not a qualified expert to talk about that. Highly recommend you get that book, but it really elevated my happiness. I was able to be in the moment. I was able to stop chasing happiness. I stopped pursuing happiness and switched it over to the happiness of the pursuit. So I have a daily meditation practice. I read spiritual books like The Untethered Soul, so that way I can learn about the art of being. And ultimately, guys, I'll say this, I'm a big advocate for plant medicines and had many journeys along with a wonderful life. Violet has been, my wife Violet, has been incredible for helping me integrate all the lessons and the healing and the spiritual cleansing that plant medicines are so good at doing. And then doing the work, taking the action that looks like this, making amends with anybody you've wronged, asking for forgiveness. There's like a karmic spiritual soup out there that has all the pluses and the minuses from your life. If you've cheated or stolen anything or lied or have just not lived in integrity, or however that looks like in your life, that adds up. Just like all the good things you've done, volunteered, helped people out of your way, random acts of kindness, just giving love to yourself and to those around you, really determines the total of your current spiritual state. And I was building better relationships with all those around me because I truly connected with myself. I truly saw myself in the mirror and told myself I loved you. To me. In my early years, I did master the spoken word. We go from different levels because at the beginning you may not even like yourself. You may hate yourself. You may be your worst critic. But if you start that process of healing, that journey, you may learn to like yourself. And then ultimately you want to learn to love yourself. Because you're stuck with yourself for the rest of your life. Get comfortable. Talking to myself in the mirror, truly being vulnerable, confessing my deepest, darkest secrets to my partner and her not judging me and creating such a safe, loving container. Feeling the discomfort of processing trauma from childhood, because you gotta feel it to heal it. And processing all the unfelt emotions. I had tons of crying to catch up to once I really opened up my heart, opened up my spirit. And I feel so much lighter and so much better for it. You have your own journey. You have your own past. You probably are thinking about the things that maybe I should call my dad. Maybe I should call my mom. Maybe I should talk to a therapist, which I have done and highly recommend. Maybe I should do some breath work. Maybe I should do some meditation. What are those spiritual practices that you're willing to explore and look into? Because ultimately, whatever we don't like about somebody else, it's because we don't like that same thing in ourselves. Everybody around you is a mirror and a reflection. All these concepts that I'm talking about, don't exactly know what category it's in, but self-healing, self-love. Now, it's more complicated than that, of course. There's a lot of processing, a lot of integration work that I highly recommend you find a professional around you to help you get through. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter any of the success, it doesn't matter any of the money, it doesn't matter any of the accolades, or it doesn't matter about any of the doings if you don't have the being mastered, if you don't have the being intact. It makes everything so much more fun when you already know that you won. It makes everything so much lighter and so much childlike when you know that don't take things so seriously. That you may have picked up on negative patterns from your parents. You may have picked up negative patterns from a toxic partner that are not true to you, or they're not authentic to you. And in that process of individuation, or in that process of awakening, you'll get to keep what you resonate with. You'll get to keep what's authentic to you, which is usually what you were like as a kid before you became an adult, before you got realistic. Have you ever wondered how refreshing it is to be with kids? Because they're like pure spirit. They haven't been, their innocence hasn't been tarnished. They're still innocent children, which is a beautiful thing. And they can teach us so much about ourselves because we were kids at one point. There's this really cool video, I'll link it, it's a TED Talk that has an old man, a wise old man, and a little kid. Have you ever, maybe your grandpa, unfortunately, I'm not too close with my living grandpa, and don't really have grandparents. But if you have an elderly person in your life, you probably know what I'm talking about. They slow down. They've slowed down to smell the roses, to get to know you, to build relationships. It seems like in the middle of our life, maybe 20 to 50, we're constantly just running around chasing our tail on that hamster wheel until we figure out that life is whatever you make it. Life is whatever you say it is. Life is something to be enjoyed. You can go from passion to passion, and nobody really knows exactly what you're supposed to do in this life. Nobody really knows. A lot of the life's biggest questions, like who created us? Who created the creator? What's our purpose here on earth? Now, that can either scare you and depress you, or it can just liberate you to know that just here to live it as best as I can. Because if you really, I heard this, if you really live it right, you only need one life. If you really do it right, at the end, when you're dead, you'll be like, I loved it. Can I go back and do it again? Or you'll be dead and on that deathbed, as Les Brown says it, and you'll face the person you could have become. You'll look at all the dreams, hopes, music, art that was never created. That is a scary thing. Falling short of your potential is a scary thing. So hopefully you got some things from the art of being, or the art of doing. My business partner Gus and I are working on a incredible one-on-one coaching program and a group coaching program. We're in the early pre-launch stages, so if you want some more information on that, just send me a message. But feel free to comment. Don't be a stranger. I'll respond to every comment that comes in. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys on the next video.